Hi, in this video we will talk about a specific style which was quite popular over the last couple of weeks, especially inside of TikTok, and there are already a lot of YouTube videos about tiny workers. But most of those videos focus really in generating almost everything manually. And if there is a video that's talking about automation, the problem is those automation videos are not really flexible, where it's quite hard to get a specific style and then enhancing and evolving it over time. In this video, we will recreate based on a simple input where you can literally build a similar style over and over again, where you can, for example, have also a tiny worker set up here, which maybe has a more unique style to it. Maybe you give it a more cinematic look or a darker look, and then you can see we can recreate the video style over and over and over again. It really depends on what you like. I've tested this a couple of times and just auto regenerate everything, and it was working really good here. In this video, we will start from scratch, and we can see by the end of this video on how simple it is to really customize everything. Before we start, we can actually watch how it will look like if we render a finished video.
The invisible hands, deep in Ecuador's green woods, hang golden treasures. Nature's goods, white turns amber, yellow to brown. Quiet workers turn them round. The copper drum spins, shells crack, aromas rise. Across vast oceans, in metal homes, the precious cargo safely roams. Tiny workers we never meet make life's pleasures rich and sweet. Their hidden labor day by day brings joy to us in every way.
In this video, I'm explaining on how we can use Airtable to generate every AI video you have in mind. We have picked one example in this specific video here. Let's just put a narrative down, and since those tiny workers are quite popular right now, I thought let's just rebuild the same structure but automate everything. Let's just give this here a title, and all we need to do is basically create a new record for Airtable. Now, we can select everything also later, but let's select here a presetting that I have created. In this case, a narrative enhancer in specific for tiny worker AI movies. Let's just create this record here. What we will notice here is that the automation inputted already some default settings, which, by the way, we can change entirely. You could also change the default settings here completely, but I've left the default settings here on purpose because that's the default settings I'm using for most of our projects. In this case, since we have a specific use case, we'll change here all the basic prompts. We have here the shooting board prompt, which when we take out, we can then select from existing templates. We can replace the image enhancer. The image enhancer is basically just a prompt in order to enhance the shot items. We will explain this later. We'll leave this one here. Then on the image model, we do not want a landscape, but we want a specific TikTok frame. In that case, we have already a setup here. TikTok images. We can also select the video model, like which model would we like to render it. In our case, we just leave it to TikTok video generator. Again, we will go into the settings later on. And for the prompt, let's just also select our TikTok settings here. When it comes to generation itself, we leave it. And for the rest, we also leave it blank here. That's the settings. Now we have two options. Either we just press render everything, and now that would mean it generates every step for us, literally in one go from our input. Our input looks like this here, just a basic story to the finished video when we press this one. But in order to understand the process, I would do a half human, half complete automation workflow. It's basically us just approving the sub-steps. Instead of rendering everything, what we are doing is going step by step so that we also understand like for what every setting is. Now, I've already covered a video in which I've explained the entire Airtable database and also all the automations. But in this video, we will just focus on the creation of the video itself. We do not need any default character. Let's just start here and let's press on Enhance Narrative, or you know what, let's just render everything. And while it's rendering, I'm explaining what's happening in the background. Keep in mind, when it's triggering everything here, you have to understand literally every step. I would not recommend this if you are using it for the first time. Now we can deselect the settings. And the first thing which we should get is an enhanced narrative here. It's enhancing basically the narrative, and it's just writing it out to a full-blown story based on the prompt we gave it. Here we go. We have the enhanced narrative, and now we just saw that it's also start to create now the voiceover, and we can also see the status, which is the automation currently handling. Here we can then open the voiceover and we can start to see the shooting board, which is coming in a bit. It's generating here each shot, which by the way is also based on the prompt we gave it. We asked the AI to generate 10 specific shots based on the enhanced narrative. And then we can see each automation phase here. It's enhancing the prompts. This here is the shot description, specific shot. And now it starts to enhance the image prompt here. Let's just see what's happening. So now it took like this here, the shot description, and enhance the prompt. This will be then the prompt which will be sent to generate the AI image here. We have also the camera movement, which we can change, or of course also change, of course, the prompt itself. And we can see now it's starting to generate the first images here. When we are going and see also the settings that we have included in the step before, we can, of course, also open them from this board here, show the details like here, the portrait, which model are we using? For example, this one is Flux Pro 1.1, but we can also change the model to any model we like, really quite easy here. We have the first image already. Let's see and wait. And now the other images are being rendered as well here in the background. Great. We have here our first image. This is quite abstract, but again, we can change the prompt, we can change the narrative, we can change the style, which we will discuss in a bit as well here. We have now more and more images coming. Let's just open now here our image board, and we can see here our images are being generated one by one here. In the next step, of course, the automation will then generate the videos based out of these images here. In those images, like some of the images maybe not that what we want. Therefore, I really would not recommend to fully automate everything unless you are 100% accurate with all the images. But keep in mind, for this demonstration purpose, we generated everything automatically, and the video generation themselves take quite a bit. The videos will probably need another 4 to 6 minutes for each video generation. Therefore, I'll just create a short pause and we go from there. So after waiting 5 minutes, we have now here all the videos being rendered. We can see we have a total of 10 images. And out of those 10 images, we have 100% success rate here with the videos. So we can open also this way all the images, or we can also open this way and see all the video clips. There is actually one step which is not automated because, again, like I'm not preferring this way to do it. Therefore, I was not implementing it here inside, which is now combining all the videos together with the voiceover and the music. But it is literally just one button away. We can just press combine. This takes also around a minute or so, and then we will see the final result here. And after that, we could also send all the video clips into a Google Drive file, which we can render in the background. It's already creating a Google Drive folder. It takes also 1 to 2 minutes to generate all the items here into this folder here. And here we go. We have our final clip with 10 videos, 5 seconds each video.
Dawn breaks over tiny worlds where miniature farmers move between endless rows of coffee trees. Their dollhouse hands select only the ripest cherries, each one a ruby jewel, holding liquid gold. From mountaintop villages, these treasures travel to drying beds where they form a living mosaic. Toy-like figures rake oceans of beans under watchful skies, each synchronized movement part of an ancient dance. Mountains give way to ports where these precious seeds, now dwarfed by towering ships, cross vast waters. The beans journey further than their farmers ever will. In distant cities, pint-sized roasters tend to machine.
As we can see, the video is by far not perfect at all. And the more complex we structure the story, the most likely the video will be also less usable. But I didn't showcase a perfect result here because I really want everybody to understand you need to spend time really in enhancing the prompts, and that just come if you are doing it over and over again. But I'm also showing it because we can go into each step here, and I can show you that you can literally enhance it while you are doing. And this is like what I would say sets it apart, where you see like workflows that are worked inside of make.com or N8N. Because here you can literally have the result that is connected also to the prompt. This example here, when we go, for example, and read the narrative, that's already the first thing I would spend time on. Is this here actually making sense? Can the AI break this here into specific shots? Not only that, but when we are opening our settings, do we have a strong enough model that can handle this input and break it down really into the output we are looking for? When we go here, the narrative might be strong enough for our use case, but when we look at the shooting board prompt, we can see that we have here a quite extensive prompt here, which is looking like this. And we can see that this prompt was actually handled by one of the cheapest model out there, Gemini 2.0. Here, again, like I've showcased this on purpose because I want you to realize that this takes some time, but also that you can see you can literally change the model just one finger snap. Here you can, for example, just choose Claude 3.7 or Qwen or OpenAI, O3 Mini, O3 Mini High, whatsoever. This is quite good because now you can play around with the prompt here, and now you can test even the prompt. Here we have a show testing where you can test any input. Now it's generate an output for you. Let me just show you what I mean. Let's go back here and let's just take here our basic narrative here. Not even the extensive or the enhanced narrative. And let's go back to the shooting board prompts. As we can see, we can input here any input, just test the prompt. This will result into something which most likely, if you are not familiar with a JSON file, will look not as nice to you, but what it's allowing us is to extract each data point. Here is the example output we provided for a specific field. For example, here we have the shot description, which will be then used in our shot description. But then we have also the framing, we have the camera angle, we have the camera movement, and the camera speed. And now we have the output here, which cannot be edited because, again, we want to save the output as it is without making it looking nicer. This is the raw output we get from this model here. It's quite a long output, but the stronger the model, the better the output, the more it makes also sense in restructuring the data. But we have to play around what makes sense here. This is just one setting. We can go and, of course, extend or play around with different settings for our use case. We cannot talk about every possible use case out there. But what we can say, we can literally see the output and play directly already with the prompt. Now, when we work on our prompt and make sure, okay, follow, please, the steps one by one, start really like maybe here and there, and then we test it again and again, we can see how this will impact the entire flow. The same applies, of course, for the image model or the video model. Like I've chosen file as the main provider, but we have here plenty of different options. So we can, for example, go here and select a different model. We can attach pre-trained characters that can be then used to have consistent characters inside your story. We can give it a description and change here the basic parameters. I know this here might look confusing for someone never using it before, but actually it's quite simple. We just make sure that we do not change here the overall structure, but just change everything inside. For example, if we have a specific style in mind, maybe TikTok images that don't have a landscape mode, but maybe a portrait mode, we can just change the aspect ratio here. We can also increase the number of images and maybe also the image size. Same applies, of course, to the video model. We can now change here just our video model maybe to Kling Pro or to any video model out there. We just change it like that. It's quite easy. And we can, of course, also change the settings here inside. Now, again, that makes it simple, especially if you have multiple projects you are working on. We can also generate like sound effects on the go. We can recreate the shooting board here, like what we have. We can, of course, add items. For example, we have maybe here a shooting board, but now we feel like, oh, there is a shot missing inside. We can add the item here. Of course, add a character, write a short description, and just pass it to the AI to do also the image enhancement. While other tools can provide you the single image, you never have the context in what relation the image was like being created. For example, if you run a make.com and save everything inside of a Google Sheet, the problem is that you really don't know what prompt you have been using for that specific image. While that's maybe okay if you are just running one project, but as soon as you're running multiple projects, you want to see what prompt has been used here in order to generate the image. So again, that's where this system is becoming really powerful. And not only that, we do not have to rely on our image generation. Maybe we are using Midjourney and we really want to figure out and play around with single images. Here we can also upload our own images. We do not rely on like just image generation based on our automation flows, which of course, that's what makes it powerful. But let's just say, for example, this image here actually doesn't make any sense because we want to tell a story about like tiny workers. And without reading the prompt or even the enhanced prompt here, let's just generate a new image. As we can see, the status of this has also changed. Let's move on to the next image, which we also want to enhance. Maybe we want to create here also a new image, and let's close this one here. And this one also doesn't look as great. Let's create there also a new image, and we can see a new image has been generated. And if we compare it before and now after, that's actually what we wanted. Again, it depends, of course, on the style you prefer. But in our tiny workers story, we want tiny workers. So that's great. Also better than the image before. Let's just go here to this shot. And we can see, like before we had this image and now this image here. Again, that's like a choice you can do. And you are always, or you should always, of course, read. It is like here in the shot description, or if you prefer this one, you should read and enhance it also. The more time you spend, the better, of course, the images. And once you understand what you really want, you can then go into the basic prompt here and again, show the prompt and play around with the prompt here. This is also a quite extensive prompt. Yeah, as you can see, this prompt is huge. But again, you do not need to create such prompts here. So now let's talk about the basic settings and also the interface itself, because of course we have more than the story overview. Especially if you are working on multiple projects, you might want to follow the step-by-step guides. You are working on 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever videos at the same time. Jumping around the video projects might not be the view you like. Therefore, I have created the step-by-step guide here, where you can then go and see on a larger view, literally every project that has been created. For example, maybe you have a similar project, and now instead of a TikTok clip, you have maybe this format. I don't know. It depends, of course, like what you like. But now you can add comments here for your editor or whoever is designing the prompts. I like this image here. Let's do this style. And you can also just run and trigger it based on the step. Again, I would see those steps here really as steps we should or could follow, but we can, of course, modify it based on what we need or want. The great thing about the interface view inside of Airtable is that literally all the views that are related to the specific record here have a similar view. As we can see, this here is looking exactly as the view we had before. When we are opening, we can, of course, see also our enhanced prompt. We can see the prompts related to that, and we also see a different image model. So as we can see here, this image model was maybe the same Flux Pro model, but when we open the details, we can see this one was rendered as a landscape image. Okay, we can close it and literally go from project to project and approve every single step. Keep in mind, if we are not having any images, we should not see any images here. Only if we press render with image, we will see the image. But once we approve everything, we can then move on to approve the video step. Here we can see all the images that has been rendered. Here, those images are the images we just saw in our preview. And we can see, okay, we have here a couple of nice images here. But the great thing is we can now start to rate or to select those images, and we can give those ratings here. That has a quite extensive benefit because now we can literally select the best images that would make sense for our short film. Let's say I like this image here, and now we can start to select and rate our images here. Let's just select those images I like. And now we can start to filter it also in order really to decide what images we want to send to generate a video. Because again, one thing is absolutely important to understand. Video generation is not cheap, and you do not want to just spend your money and waste your money on crap images, because if there is one thing for sure, if your image is crap, the video will be crap as well. Because we are using here image to video. Spend maybe a couple of minutes and edit it yourself, because the results will be just 10 times better here. Okay, now this is looking good. Let's just see what else we have here. Let's take this one and maybe this one. What else? This one is also good. And we can see those one here were maybe from images that has been tested before. What else do we have here? We could, for example, filter, add another condition here where our rating just show us our best selection. And now because of that, we can then filter it and start really to make sure that we render only the images we like. And also go and read actually also the camera direction here. But the good thing is we have here already auto-suggested camera suggestions, which again, those are just general instruction. They are not made in specific for this type of content. But the good thing is you can, again, enhance that. You can change the basic prompt. And now you can also change, for example, let's say you like the camera direction number 2. You can just select the camera direction number 2. Now it should actually here change in a quite bit here. We have it now. This will be then sent to the AI. And that's something we can then do and go from image to image and select here. Either we go and create it via Runway, or we just use our default model here. Let's open this one here. Actually, that's not something I would like to send, but maybe this one here. This is something which I like to send. And now we can create a video here. Now it's rendering, and we can also see that every item that has here little status, that means like the video is starting to render. We have here, it's an identification at what stage this video is currently. Let's go to this video here, and we can also, of course, just create the video. And now it's rendering in the background as well here. And let's go to other video clips. This one is good. And what else? Now, while it's rendering, we can also, for example, create a setting where when it's done, it will disappear here, because as we can see, this here is a tab where every image here needs a decision. This is also reducing itself here because we want to make, of course, on every step a decision. Of course, those images doesn't disappear. They are still here inside all images. We can also create a new tab, and we can see the image that has been rendered is also marked green here. We can open the image, and we can also, of course, go now into the videos that has been rendered. Again, in some cases, you want to have multiple videos for one image, because not every generation is perfect, especially if your prompt is not great. I can already see here for this type of image, this probably will not work. But let's just open it, and let's open the video URL here. But for our use case, this is fine enough. So let's just make it big, and let's open it again. Again, not perfect, but we want this style here. Now let's see what else we have. Let's open this one, same style. On this case here, we have 2 videos. Let's see what the difference is here between each video. Let's open this video clip here. This one, not really happy with, too many artifacts here. And let's go to the next video. Yeah, way better here. The movement, also the characters, this is good, perfect. Of course, for this, we also have a specific view here, which is then on step 3, where we have all the rendered videos. And now we can do the same thing here. We can, of course, just view the videos. So now we can just go and open the video here and see this was the TikTok video from before, which is also working great here. It's perfect. We can go, of course, to the other video clips that we just have rendered and can make a decision here. Should we render more clips or less, or change the prompts, etc. Now we can do the same as before, which I'm not doing right now, but we could, of course, give it also a rating here, 3 stars, and filter it later on and make, before we even start editing, already a decision. Do we have all the clips that we need here? Let's talk about the utility. Here inside, we have a default settings tab here. Now, what the default settings tab allows us, especially like for someone who has a specific style that they want to apply as a template on every generation, here we can basically go to the default settings, change, for example, the model here. This is a quite simple setup, because all we need, for example, what should be our image generator in terms of default model. Now we can open and get all the information here from our default model, which is Flux Pro 1.1. But let's just say we want to change it to Juggernaut here, which is file Juggernaut Flux, or we just keep it. But like in file alone, you have so many different models. And keep in mind, when you change the default settings, that will be applied on every generation as a default setting. We can change, of course, every default setting, but now when we go, for example, to all our text prompts, we have here a view where we have all our templates. It depends, of course, like on what style you prefer. And also we have here all the models. Now, this is super handy, especially if every day there is a new model and we want to have like really a quick setup here. We can just go here, open it, and change maybe from GPT Mini to any model we like. And as I've shown before, we can of course test the prompt also. We can test it and get a response here. We can use also the comments field in order to save all our prompts, which we can then go back to if we prefer the version before. Again, these are the settings here. And if we need more granular settings, we can also go to the database, but this is something I'm not covering in this video today. Same applies, of course, here for our media creation, which is divided into image, video, audio, and some other utility tools such as upscaling or transcription. Now, you can, of course, provide it with more and more media automations. You can input whatever you need here, but the great thing is really you can connect it with your data directly. Now, inside of character gallery, we have here, of course, our characters. Here we have like our voiceover characters, and here we have some preset up. You can then, of course, add, for example, you want a specific style, like for one of our YouTube channels, we have this style here, which we can see we have created already a lot of different images, and it was trained based off those images here. When we open those images, this is the style we have for this YouTube channel, and the model was trained based on these images here. I have also a model like for myself here, which I can take images from different angles, and then the AI knows already like how it should regenerate those images. If you have specific styles, inspiration, I have also here an inspiration gallery, which you can connect also with your story or with your storyboard or with your prompts. Based on the style you provide, the AI then generates images which are looking similar to those provided images here. That's a quick breakdown. I hope it was quite clear, but I would recommend really to go step by step and then send everything to the Google Drive folder or download that manually and edit it first, maybe for your first 5 to 10 videos before you make use of the full automation, because you have really to make sure that you understand every step here. We could also do a really quick rundown in a half manual way. So we will use the same prompt here, and we now generate a new story, but this time, instead of rendering everything, we press on each button, every step basically, with some sub-approval here. Let's just do a quick narrative. We just use the same narrative here, give it a quick title, and now we select our tiny worker setup here. Then we press create. Now it's saved here under drafts. And as before, we can change, of course, the settings. Let's just go and change the settings here. Shooting board, the tiny worker setup. We leave the image enhancer. Now here we want a TikTok model for the image generation. We want a TikTok model for the video generation. And for the voiceover, we also want something which is creating a short voiceover. And for the video voiceover generation, we can of course also change the character, but we leave it on default here, which we can also change and enhance later on. Here, sound effects, we create sound effects. Let's just apply sound effects this time. And we also want a voiceover script. What we want is to enhance it, but this time not render everything. We just do it step by step, as I said. Like now, we just enhance the narrative. Let's go there and open the story details here. We can also open the other boards, but we will see there is nothing inside here yet. The voiceover was already created, and now we have here the enhanced narrative. What we want is to create a shooting board. That would be the next step. It's creating the shooting board, and this will take probably 30 seconds and generating then each shooting board item here. In the meantime, let's go and open the voiceover. This time, the voiceover is not generated automatically. So as we can see, it's generating here one by one. So we have here the narrator, Eric, which we can leave, or we can select maybe this time Sarah. And we also want maybe the script here to be a little bit shorter. So maybe we start here and maybe we take this entire part here out. Now we have a really short script, which of course we can enhance and rewrite however we like. We just press generate voiceover and it's starting to generate the voiceover. Once it's done, we will see also an attachment here. Now this takes, of course, also maybe a minute or so. In the meantime, let's work on every board item. So now we can go and just enhance the prompt one by one. Like now, we will just leave one image here so that we can see how the impact will be. We can already see that the voiceover is done.
Their hands, seemingly carved from clay, move with ancestral precision across sun-drenched, drying.
Perfect. We see that the voiceover has been generated. And this time we also see that there was a sound effect being generated. We can see here in the setup, when we go here, we can see that we have already this sound effect, which we can then, of course, use for our editing. Because of that, it will not generate automatically all the images here, but we are doing it one by one. Again, we can open this one here and either press just enhance the image prompt, or we just decide to also generate the image directly, which we can do here. We can go from image to image. As we can see, it started to create already the first image here. And when we are doing it again in our step-by-step guide here, that will of course make the process a little bit easier. But in our case, what we could also do is really imagine we would work on this. And now the advantage is if we are going now and read actually what it is inside here, we can start to improve it with AI and generate the image. But look what's happened next. We are here at shot 769. Let's just say we are good with this one here. And now we can see we are on the next shot. Now we can start to work on every shot, change the framing, the camera angle, attach a character, and just press go. And just press go. And just press go. This is really something we can then focus on and work shot by shot and do it really here shot by shot until we are done. We have no record left. We cannot generate or, of course, submit something new because we just have 10 shots here. Let's just close everything and we can see some of those images has been done already. When we go here to the image, we can see some of them based on our news story are already done. Let's open our image setup here. Even though we have used the same narrative, but because of the prompt and how we set it up, it always slightly changed, of course, the story here. And maybe some of those images here makes more sense. As of now, not really sure what happened here. But again, I haven't read what was inside here. And of course, every step is influenced by the step before. If you are interested in starting and using this template, we have actually a full guide in how you can rebuild everything from scratch. It will be in the description down below and you can use it. And the guide itself will be for free. The guide itself will cover everything. If you want to build it yourself and want to play around with the APIs, the automations, and everything, if there is one thing that makes this template or this workflow at least usable for you, is that you see how you can use it really in every way and also change every model without any problem. In my next videos, I'm also implementing N8N, or we will discuss also why it makes sense to not run every automation inside of Airtable, because Airtable has some limitations, but I really love in how we can incorporate almost 99% of all the automations inside of Airtable, in specific also and how you can connect Airtable like this base with other bases. Let's just say you run multiple social media channels or you run your own YouTube channel, which then you can use to upload and also track the performance inside your other maybe pre-built app here. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll put everything inside the description. And if you want to know more, let me know as well. See you in the next video.
The invisible hands, deep in Ecuador's green woods, hang golden treasures. Nature's goods, white turns amber, yellow to brown. Quiet workers turn them round. The copper drum spins, shells crack, aromas rise. Across vast oceans, in metal homes, the precious cargo safely roams. Tiny workers we never meet make life's pleasures rich and sweet. Their hidden labor day by day brings joy to us in every way.